Thank you very much. And thank you very much for coming out tonight. So what can I tell you? First of all, what I thought I would do, rather than read the poems that precede the songs, I wanted to try and explain how these songs arrived. And then when you next hear the album, perhaps there'll be a little bit more in them to find, and you listen. Why do I identify with Dylan? Certainly, I would not presume to compare myself artistically at all, but Dylan was a solo performer of his work as well as a writer, and he traveled and he performed on his own and had all that pre-rock and roll adulation that can tip most people over the edge, even with good intentions, and to stay straight and so on. Now, I've also been a solo performer and travelled quite a bit on my own. So it wasn't Dylan's art, which remains sacrosanct and separate. It was his life that interested me. And when I was a young fella, desperate to meet, I went to an all-boys school, which was a bit of a problem. And then to get out of that boys' school, I joined the army, which was full of blokes as well. So when I finally worked my ticket and got out after a few months, I went to a school, a tech college, where there were girls. And I remember all the efforts the young fellas went to make themselves more attractive, or feeling that they might make themselves more attractive by assuming identities and wearing tattoos and all sorts of exotic devices. So in my first song, I've written about Dylan pretending to be an American merchant seaman stranded from a long way from home, down in Swansea. Now, I don't have any evidence for this at all, but he did assume identities and made some very humorous comments about dyeing his sister's borrowing his sister's scarf and dyeing his cricket shirt green and assuming the mantle of a poet. And so I thought it was reasonable to suppose he might have done something like this. So this is called Summer Girls. This summer is gonna be different. I will move across the town. I will promenade above the beach until my face turns brown. With my hands in my pockets and my casual stroll from the town beach to the docks. The girls, they walk in twos or threes, their pretty cotton frocks teased by the breeze. And I will find a long-limbed summer girl for me. I will assume the accent of some Yankee sailor boy, stranded between merchant ships with some time to enjoy. A week or two down by the bay with tuppenny ice cream cones and petticoats, sandy kisses, breasts as smooth as stones washed by the sea. And I will find a long-limbed summer girl for me. And her name will be Pam or Ruth, I'll be Chuck or Wayne. And we will know and love each other, and then I will explain why I haven't found a ship and that I live in town. And before we share that cigarette in waves of love, well drowned down by the sea. My long-limbed, salty summer girl and me. Well, she won't cry for my leaving, she will cry because I stayed. She will cry for my deceiving, now we can meet every day. This love affair, it grew so strong because we'd have to part. And now we will do anyway, and she will take my heart, and I'll be free to find another summer girl or give it back to me. Well, this summer is gonna be different, and I will move across the town. I will promenade above the beach until my face turns brown. With my hands in my pockets and a casual stroll from the town beach to the docks. The girls, they're walking twos and threes, their pretty cotton frocks teased by the breeze. And I will find a longland summer girl, I will find a longland summer girl for me. Yeah, so you probably are all familiar with the Dylan Thomas story. I mean, he did get poems published at quite a young man, and he was taken notice of by a young poet, lady poet up in London, Pamela Hansford Johnson, and began a kind of pen friendship that developed somewhat. But Dylan waited a little while before he met the girl that was to be his partner for most of his life, and that was Caitlin McNamara, and he met her up in a pub. I think it was the Wheat Sheaf. Jeff will correct any little details that I might have got wrong, but I think it was the Wheat Sheaf up near Rathbone Place and Charlotte Street in Fitzrovia. And strangely enough, by the time I was 16 or 17 and had become interested in all things beatnik and bohemian, that trail of literary discussion and posturing, may I dare say, was still thriving in those, but they'd been sort of taken over, the pubs had been taken over by windswept and interesting arty types who played guitar and had discovered the blues, and that's all I was interested in. I wanted to play guitar well, and I drifted up to that area. And the trail, it was years later that I found out that that was the trail that was still worn, that Dylan had left a generation before, I guess. So this is a song about Dylan's partner and wife, Caitlin, and I'm going to play that on this machine.